This woman has been crowned the worst roommate in New York City. So the New York City roommate situation, yeah, it just got an update, and somehow it just got even worse for our main character here, known as EK.
Story time about how my current roommate scammed me, the one I'm living with right now.
So you guys might remember the fire escape girl, or the New York City nightmare roommate, that I covered a little over a week ago when she essentially went viral for this 30-part nightmare roommate series.
I'm on the brink of losing my housing and I don't know what to do anymore.
Her name is EK, and she's a small artist living in New York making cat worry stones. I didn't know what a cat worry stone was until I made my last video, but it's apparently one of these. So this is what she does, and I guess while dealing with housing frustrations, she decides to do what a lot of people do these days. She takes it to social media.
24 hours ago, I was told by my current roommate that I was getting kicked out at the end of June, even though I moved in a month ago.
And I guess, unfortunately, what was supposed to be a few TikToks about a roommate allegedly trying to kick her out ended up completely backfiring, and suddenly the internet came to the conclusion that maybe EK is actually the problem here.
Started documenting that on social media, and I fully take ownership. None of this would have happened had I not come to social media in the first place. I have learned my lesson. I will not do this again. And as my community was watching all of this unfold in real time, they were asking for other ways to support. I fully recognize now how tone deaf it came across by setting it up. I didn't consider that, and I should have.
But mostly, though, it wasn't her roommate's fault that she couldn't qualify for the lease herself.
We finally get through all of the stupidity with my current roommate, only to now run into issues with the landlord. They are now saying there is an issue with my income.
And let's be real. I mean, it's one thing to have a actual terrible roommate, but to paint someone like an evil mooch who's trying to ruin your life when they just don't want to use the same dish rack as you is obviously a massive overreaction.
When I moved in, I had a different dish rack than her, the one that has walls on this side. She just had a flat dish rack where she would just kind of awkwardly and haphazardly pile up the dishes. And I was like, hey, I've got this other dish rack. Would you be open to us giving it a try? Immediately she shut it.
And also, going to your business profile and asking for GoFundMe donations while apparently refusing to get a real job, obviously that's not gonna go well. Especially when you choose to live in one of the most expensive cities in the world. Because it's not like she moved to New York because she had to be in New York for her work. She sells cat worry stones online. She could easily live in a way cheaper city and still sell those cat worry stones and probably not be extremely stressed out about bills.
A few days ago, I wound up starting a GoFundMe to help raise money and try to get the apartment to myself for a month, like to buy me time. I pay that rent. And I felt very weird starting it because it's like, feels like there are much better causes than this. But I also know I genuinely need help. I work my ass off on my art shop, especially on social media with filming and editing videos, because that's how I market myself.
Well, I guess it's safe to say that it didn't, because EK's nightmare roommate came back with a reply of her own that definitely turned the whole tide.
A sublet I met about a month ago made a 30-part TikTok series about me, and I want to address a few things. We're gonna keep it short and straight to the point because 30? I genuinely don't know how any of this is my fault. You started subleasing a few weeks ago. A sublease is temporary by definition, meaning I don't owe you shit.
But I guess before everything went south, EK did manage to raise a few $1,000s for a GoFundMe and apparently secured herself the apartment for a year. So that is kind of interesting, but if she couldn't originally qualify for the lease, she might have just put herself in a very financially stressful situation. But of course, the GoFundMe did bring in a whole bunch of new hate comments, which resulted in EK shutting it down and claiming that once she had confirmed her housing situation, that she would be giving back to the community, whatever that means.
I have always wanted to be able to pay it forward and pay it back. And now that I finally have stable housing, I get to do that. I'm going to be taking a little bit of time from social media, but during this time, I'm going to be actively researching organizations I want to contribute to, both with my time and resources, and I will actively keep you updated on all of that.
But I guess after this whole mess, EK announced that she would be laying low, but the internet hasn't stopped digging into the situation, and naturally, they found more to talk about. Because Marilyn, the evil roommate in the story, obviously has social media of her own, and she continues to post content. And just to add insult to injury, she just got sponsored by a moving company since all of this went down.
Are you and your roommate fighting about a dish rack? Well, look no further, because Roadway has you covered.
Yeah, that's right. Not only did she just take this 30-part series about her in stride, but she's actually using it to her advantage. But all this attention on her page has people noticing a few things. First, she doesn't seem to be a nightmare by any measure, and there's also the fact that she's been posting about apartment hunting almost as long as EK was posting about her allegedly kicking her out.
I've lived in the same apartment for about 3 years now, and I think it's time for a change. Hi, my name is Marlon. I'm currently living here in New York City, and today we are apartment hunting.
Which also led a lot more people to point more fingers at EK. I mean, she was already under fire for stretching the truth and trying to act like struggling to secure a good apartment in a popular city isn't a very universal experience for everyone. Because let's be real, New York City is not an easy city to live in unless you get paid a whole lot of money, or you have some sort of trust fund somewhere, or you live way far out there. Yet, EK has been acting, I guess, blindsided by everything Marilyn does, while she's very publicly posting herself looking for somewhere to go. But now things have gotten even crazier, because if you remember from EK's original stories, she befriended the previous roommate that she got a sublet from and was essentially using that ex-roommate to validate her side of the story.
I got some tea from the girl who lived before me, and it gave so much context into some intuition that I had about my roommate, as well as what my role was in this scenario.
I were never told their name, but this mystery ex-roommate actually becomes sort of an important corroborator of EK's version of events. So together, they claim that Marilyn is actually a mooch who is just mad that EK wasn't going to share food or do her dishes for her. And that's apparently why she was so nasty about the dish rack and was allegedly kicking her to the curb.
The person who lived here before me, she did not realize how much this roommate was mooching off of her. She would cook for them often, clean up after the girl. When I moved in, it's funny because I had a weird sense of, I feel like she is going to expect us to share food. And I find out that she used to share food with the roommate before me. And so when she found out that I wasn't going to be sharing my food with her, I think that must have been when it shifted.
But as it turns out, however, Marilyn has a story time of her own about the ex-roommate from months ago and why she ended up moving out. And it also makes things look a whole lot different.
Story time about how my current roommate scammed me, the one I'm living with right now.
Yeah, so this ex-roommate who's accusing Marilyn of being a mooch was actually apparently scamming her out of money and not using it to pay their bills. Uh-oh.
I told her, I'm like, hey, we should just pay those bills separately and just not send each other the halves because it's kind of stupid. It's the same amount. And she was like, yeah, let's do that. We've been living here for 2 years now. We re-signed the lease for the second year. We no longer needed the guarantor. When we re-signed the lease back in June of last year, that's when we started splitting up the Con Ed bill.
So essentially, they each paid certain bills, and at some point, the roommate just stopped paying. But instead of telling Marilyn, she decided to tell her that the company just wasn't accepting her payment or something like that.
I don't remember or recall when she stopped paying, but I remember specifically her telling me that the Con Ed wasn't taking her payment anymore. So the story is, since May, she hasn't been getting charged from Con Ed, but she says she called a couple of times. That might be a lie though. It most likely is. But they basically told her they couldn't help her over the phone with the Con Ed bill, that they're just waiting to see, something like that, something along the lines of that. She hasn't been paying it for 3 months now. Because mind you, I was paying right now. Okay.
She was essentially just making up excuses until shit hit the fan, I guess.
So May, June, and I believe July, we had zeros in the account, right? So none of it was paid. And then there comes a bill of over $2,000, I believe. That's when my roommate tells me, hey, they sent me a bill that's over $2,000 because I haven't paid these past 3 months. Which I was like, what the hell? I don't know where they send you this big ass bill for these 3 months, which is crazy. In the span of 3 months, we use that much electricity? Come on now, that's crazy.
Because obviously, you can't get away with not paying the bills forever. Eventually, someone's gonna come knocking, or what happens if they turn the power off or one of the utilities? Obviously, she's going to find out the truth eventually. But Marilyn says the lies only continued, apparently.
I remember her saying that she called and she basically had it resolved. She texted me, she said, hey, I got it refunded, whatever. I disregarded it because I was like, good, you should have. Fast forward to September. September is where this falls out. So towards the end of August, she basically tells me that Con Ed actually reached out to her and said she actually has to pay that. So they end up changing their minds out of nowhere. I don't know if this is true, so bear with me.
I don't know what kind of company would refuse to accept a payment and then randomly go back and forth on having to pay a $2,000 bill. Utility companies do two things. 1, provide the utility. 2, accept payments. For the most part, that's all they have to do. So there's a big problem if they can't accept the payment. So it just doesn't make sense. Regardless, there's also workarounds. So if, let's say, if your card's not working, you could easily write a check and mail it to the utility company because they actually accept them, or at least most do. But the entire video is over 13 minutes, but the TLDR is that after months of the bills becoming bigger and bigger despite them not using more electricity, Marilyn finally demanded the roommate to give her the account info so she could actually call them herself.
So this past month, it was over $600. And I was like, I was barely here in February. I was traveling. I had everything unplugged. Why the is it so high? I asked my roommate for the account number. I ended up calling and I got this lady named Miss Brown. I basically asked her, hey, why is this bill so high?
And it's safe to say the information was shocking.
Mrs. Brown basically gives me the rundown of the bills and she tells me, hey, so this is the original bill, but you also have the payment plan that you made. Payment plan? Can you elaborate, Mrs. Brown? What fucking payment plan? And for what? She basically tells me that my roommate made a payment plan back in September for the $2,600 something amount that we owed.
So apparently the roommate was just hiding the fact that she hadn't paid the bill and was now also trying to use a payment plan to deal with it. And I'm not sure if Marilyn was even asked to pay more to help pay off the debt under the guise of, oh, the bill is just higher now. But that would be crazy if she was.
She ends up apologizing and she tells me that it wasn't intentional, that she made a payment plan of $100. Do you think I believe her? No, obviously not. But she said she made a payment plan of $100 and she didn't want to make it a big deal because she wanted to handle it herself.
But regardless, this whole scam situation was unknowingly what led EK to taking over the lease when she did so.
Thankfully, the lease ends in June, so we won't have to talk after this. The friendship is out the window. I basically told her that. I told her I don't trust her anymore. Trust is out the window. I told her I wasn't paying for this month or this past month because the bitch owes me money.
But I guess after all the context, it kind of makes sense that Marilyn might want to wipe her hands of this whole situation and, you know, just want to move on with her own life and find someone that she can actually trust as a roommate. It's kind of just crazy that she now dealt with not one, but two crazy roommates. One scamming her, allegedly, and the other one, I guess, just trying to expose her in a 30-part TikTok series over a dish rack. Okay. I have had some interesting roommates over the years, but I've never had to deal with anything like that. It's just crazy to think about. Like, just imagine someone scams you out of money while lying to you and then try to band together with your new roommate to call you the greedy one. What? Hey, I don't know. But she's shown some excellent self-control throughout this entire experience, at least from what it appears from the outside, because at the end of the day, we're just sitting here on the internet. It's hard to know what actually happened, but this seems to be the case. So as of right now, everything just made EK look a whole lot worse. And now people are waiting for answers on this whole mystery ex-roommate and if she'll be following through on her donation from her GoFundMe, because how is EK going to give back to the community? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe she sends everyone a worry cat stone. That would be cool. Currently, though, it seems like she'll be laying low. And honestly, I don't blame her. But if you want to watch the full backstory on this nightmare, you can check out this video here. But other than that, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.